you're trying to get a job, it's better to have a lot of hands-on projects done and hands-on experience. Obviously, you don't have experience at client level, but you can just keep working on your own self, build projects, do some freelancing.
Well, hello, Tharun. Welcome to Project Neo. Thank you for having this interview. I'm so excited. So, Tharun Sure, if I pronounce that right, is a senior software engineer at ServiceNow. He is also a chapter lead at ADPlist. He hosts meetups in Texas, so that's pretty cool. That's really amazing. And he is an expert in AI, ML, and all those tech stuff. Amazing. So do you want to introduce yourself like before we go into like the interview?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Faith, for having me on this. um, I I'm a software engineer working primarily on mobile applications for the past decade. So primarily, I'm working on AI, ML, and um, pretty much everything involved with the mobile apps currently at ServiceNow. So we provide services to top 500 companies in US, and I've been working on some of the projects involving AI and any other stuff that comes in that we support for the clients that use our apps.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I have this like because AI is there and just so many changes every day. There seems to be something going on, and there's also this looming kind of like fear that software engineers will be replaced. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think everyone's afraid, including myself, that someday they're going to replace all the software engineers, or say all the QE or all the designers. There's a lot of cool stuff being released every day. Like Google released a lot of bunch of stuff. Like I think last week, and everyone is afraid now. Like it's so easy to get started with designing, developing apps. But I think I would say it's not going to completely replace everyone. There is still need for some human touch, and it's not that easy to replace, I would say. But that being said, I think we should be aware of all the changes going on and try to learn new things, try to integrate AI into our projects, and how fast we can adapt is the main key point there. If you want to stay in the same field, say I'm a software engineer, if I want to do the same thing 10 years later, I think I should be much aware and adapt and learn new AI skills. And if not, then yeah, definitely they're going to get replaced, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, that's something always we need to keep, in
Yeah,
mind. And
I mean, like the landscape changes, but what doesn't change is like we always have to learn something. We have to learn something new all the time. We have to be up to date, you know.
yeah,
And
exactly.
it's like a trend, like all this AI stuff that's coming. It seems like their kind of like purpose is to get rid of software engineers because all of this is like for productivity, for like making an AI agent, a software engineer agent. Oh my goodness, it's yeah. Sometimes it's just I feel really bad for people who are like starting in tech. And
Yeah.
yeah, so do you have any tips, things that you have learned lately, like how to use AI to be more productive?
Yeah, I think every other AI product that is in the industry right now is kind of offering some sort of support for all the engineers. Well, it can be coding, testing, and there are a lot of other use cases. So we internally have a tool which kind of helps us to speed up the process of coding or testing, any such so anything that involves more work, or it's time taking. It just helps us to speed up the process rather than just it's not going to write everything, it's not going to implement all the flows. It's still the developer who is going to work on the features, code. And but there are some tasks like writing some unit tests and testing the user flows and how the UI is working. I think AI can definitely help there. So whoever is just getting started in the career, I would say try to learn and implement as many projects, like any example projects that you can build, and create a portfolio where you can just use them to showcase during your interviews and everything. That would really keep you, top of the list whenever you're applying. It's just easy for the other person to know what you're doing and what you are capable of. That is one thing I recommend definitely.
Yeah, yeah. And also just on the point of like for learners or like, like new guys coming in, there's a trend that most companies are hiring seniors instead of juniors, and it's
Yeah,
kind of like alarming because if there's no juniors, then the future of software engineers will be like not a lot of us will be left. And
yeah,
yeah, have you heard of
yeah.
this and your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that's one of the tough thing to. Um, I don't know how easy is it for someone to who is just starting to get a job. It's definitely difficult with this kind of market. There's a lot of instability, but I would say the same thing like what I've said before. If you're trying to get a job, it's better to have a lot of hands-on projects done and hands-on experience. Obviously, you don't have experience at client level, but you can just keep working on your own self, build projects, do some freelancing. That way, you have a profile already built, which you can use it during the interviews. And again, it's not easy, but definitely something that will help you in the
Yeah.
interview process.
Yeah, definitely. I guess these are the advice that you give on your meetups that you host. So tell me more about the meetups and maybe give me some top highlights that has happened throughout your experience with this.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing which I never wanted to host anything, but I ended up accidentally hosting the meetups, and I was just looking for any groups that are, active in my area, and seems like there was nothing. And then I just ended up volunteering and started hosting these meetups, and I kind of hosted maybe 8 to 9 meetups. It's usually a group of, developers, designers, testers, and all tech people. Sometimes there are non-tech people as well. So it's kind of open for everyone. We just, hang out, talk about latest trends, and, there are many people who are looking for new jobs. It's kind of a platform where you can connect to others and, get references, talk to people and get to know what's happening. And at the same time, it's just making friends. You know, most of them are working from home, and it's very hard to connect to people outside. These meetups were really helpful for including me. I was able to connect to like ton of people, a lot of new fresh talent, and everyone is doing something interesting. It's great to talk and get to know them. I find those useful, and I think going forward, we are also looking to host some kind of not just meetups, but more like a professional, like speak up events, and where you have like roundtable discussions and all that stuff. So yeah, kind of trying to work on those, and maybe also um, trying to even work with other groups that are in the area where we can collaborate and do something. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Amazing. Yeah, that's just a very nice and interesting, like effort to do, some initiative to do. I really believe also in mentorship, and I have mentored a lot of people over the past years, and you have done that too for sure. And what do you think is like the most thing that they need help the most?
I think most of them don't have some clarity on what to do, like what kind of domain they want to choose.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people are interested towards cybersecurity, and some of them want to go into like telecommunications, and they're like kind of confused. And sometimes I spoke to some people where they were trying to get some advice on what kind of course they need to choose, because they don't know how the job market is going to be. And so yeah, I have mentored many people who are looking for like career advice, sometimes with immigration. So I've spoke to all kinds of people.
Yeah, that's nice. That's very nice of you. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you seen like the people who you mentored who like kind of like leveled up and maybe got a job or like been quote unquote successful?
Yeah, I saw some people getting into course and finishing them successfully, and also some people who were like, looking for jobs. I was able to refer them to some people who are hiring. Sometimes I'm also referring them in my own company, and yeah, I'm always helping people. It's always good to help because everything comes in return. So yeah, I'm glad I could help as many people as I can.
All right, so let's go into like something more personal. So, can you tell me more about how you grew up and how it helped you in your career? So, like, what is that background that other people don't know, and how did that play a role in your career? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was always the interest towards computers and computer science, and it was something that I wanted to learn. And right from my schooling, and even when I started my bachelor's, I have my bachelor's from a university in India in computer science. Um, and then once I have done my bachelor's, it was more kind of a basic knowledge that we have during bachelor's. I, and I wanted to explore more, and then I, came to US to do my master's in computer science, and that kind of gave me more exposure and more knowledge and real time experience and exposure towards the things around computers and computer science. I think that kind of helped me deciding, and that was the base foundation for my career. And initially, I actually wanted to be a Java developer once I graduated because everyone spoke about only Java. But once I kind of attended a course on iOS and iPhone development programming, I just fell in love with iPhones and MacBook, and I just never looked back again. It was again by accident, but I am really glad I chose mobile programming over Java. Um, yeah, so I think that's how I started, and then I started working at many companies where I worked on multiple iPhone, iPad applications initially at Verizon, and kind of worked on many interesting projects there, which kind of were released all over the US, and it was one of the interesting projects I worked there. And later I also had experience working at Ford for a year, and then moved to Dexcom, which is more like a healthcare continuous glucose monitoring system company. It was something that I always wanted to do in medical device domain, and I'm glad I got a chance to work on that. And then later I started working at ServiceNow, since I've been there since 3 years now, and I really like what I'm doing, and it's always good to learn new things. And I'm glad I get a chance to work on these apps that are being used by millions of users, and it's always good to know that whatever you're working is really helping people out there, and you're getting good feedback on that.
Yeah. So you started as Java, so why didn't you do Android?
Uh, to be honest, I don't like Android. Uh, no offense, but Android is something that I didn't like it. I think I initially had a Android phone. Once I switched to iPhone, I don't know. I can never go. It's something that is very hard to do, and yeah, that's what I liked about iPhone, and started to be an iOS developer, mobile programming. It's always made sense.
Yeah, I haven't really worked on Swift or iOS, but I have worked with React Native. I think that's the closest thing that that I have
Yeah.
worked. Yeah,
Okay.
very cool, very cool. Yeah. So, is there a particular non-tech hobby that has influenced your work in tech? Could be shows, could be TV, could be sports.
I think I would like to be active, and I do participate in some sports activities. Like I really like table tennis. Table tennis is one of my favorite sports, I would say. I think there are a lot of strategies in that as well. And I've learned a lot. I really like, serving, spin serving, and yeah, I've always liked to play doubles, and it's always good to learn team collaboration and how you can support each other, and it kind of helps with coping up your pressure, I would say. Whenever I, participate in a sporting activity, I always feel stress free. Um, yeah. Apart from that, I also love cooking. I I always help my wife, and it's always good to learn new things. And I also love baking. I try baking some stuff. It doesn't always turn out to be good, but I'm still learning.
Nice, nice. All right. This is a question that's a bit hypothetical. I asked this like with other people too. So if you could have dinner with any tech leader, it could be like someone who's alive or someone who has been in the past. Who would it be and what would you ask them?
I think I would love to have dinner with Elon Musk. I've been I've been following him for a while, and I really like the tech. So I own a Tesla, so I really like the tech and how they kind of integrate everything and testing, and it's so perfect. And I always wanted to ask, like, what kind of methodologies or principles that they use to make sure everything goes so perfect right from the scratch. Like, how do you launch a new feature? Say there's a lot of ton of things going on in a car, and how do you kind of integrate everything with the software, right? It's so challenging, and at the same time it's also something which is affecting millions of users, and especially with the full self-driving technology, it's getting so perfect day by day, that you don't even have to interact with the steering wheel anymore.
Mm,
Yeah, I really love the technology behind his mission. And I think he is one of the greatest living person, I would say, in terms of technology or anything. Like, yeah, he's definitely shaping for the better future and better, environment and everything. Yeah, I would definitely love to have
yeah,
dinner with him.
he's a very special kind of character. I mean, like pros
Yeah,
and cons about him, but still just amazing how he can like manage five companies all at the same time and just do well on
exactly.
everything. That's really crazy. Well, we're now at the final question. So how would you like to be remembered?
I think I would definitely want to be remembered as someone who has contributed, to the society. Say it can be by my work through my companies, or I also wanna someday. I also wanted to have like a charity organization that kind of helps children and people who are hungry. Um, you know, I just want to make sure I help as many people as I can through my network, through my peers, through my um, anything that I can help. I definitely want to have a like an NGO or something one day, and I want to be remembered as somebody who was able to help the humans as much as I can.
I love that. I think throughout this interview, like you have shown like how much you want to help people, even with your hosting meetups. With with your job, like you're very passionate about like pushing like products to the millions of users and being like inspired by Elon Musk and all that. I think that's amazing. And yeah, I support you on everything. I hope someday we could meet as well. I mean, you're just in US and like hang out maybe. So
Yeah,
yeah, before we end, is there like how can people find you? Like you can just say on LinkedIn, Twitter, or
yeah. I think you can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm pretty much there everywhere. You can just search for my first name, Tarun, last name, Sure, 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 or Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to connect, and happy to help as whatever I can, and definitely reach out to me. And yeah,
amazing.
thank you for having me on this podcast. I hope you conduct more such events and connect with more people and keep doing this. Thank you. Thank you, Fed. Bye.